Hey, welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I am Steve Smith. I want to talk today about total preparedness, about what it actually is, about what people may think that it is, and the extent to which people are actually pursuing that goal. First off, welcome to all the new subscribers. It's great to have you here and on Patreon. I always start by making the claim that I have the smartest commenters in YouTube land. So I suggest that when you join after you've watched my video, that you read the comments down below. We have a commenter base that's with experience that's wide and deep, and you'll learn a lot from that too. We hope that you also participate. Make your comments as you like. It can be just short, it can be long, it can be whatever you want it to be, as long as you're nice and polite and, don't call people idiots and things like that. I did have to remove a comment the other day from someone that I'm sorry I had to remove, because the vast majority of the comment was just great. I wished I could have left it up there for everyone to read, but something kind of snuck in at the end that I just don't allow, and we stay nice and polite here so that everybody can enjoy coming here and looking forward to being here. So it's good to have you. If you want to join us on Patreon, I always put the link down there. So I want to talk today about total preparedness, and I want to start with a story that you'll see kind of how it applies here in a minute. I think most of you, probably it's impossible not to be at least familiar with the name or the art, the martial art, commonly pronounced and mispronounced actually, karate. Okay, the punching and kicking and such as that. Well, karate, many people misunderstand, does not mean, well, maybe I should back up and explain this. The word karate comes from two words, and it's kara and te. Kara means, most people think, empty. Okay. And te means hand. So from that, people have this misunderstanding that it means fighting with empty hands. And even there's a lot of karate schools around that don't understand this. It kind of depends on what line someone comes from as to how much they understand it, and when, the extent to which they're deeply into the art and the study. But that's how I think I just pronounced it. You may have heard me. How it is properly pronounced is karate. Karate, meaning kara and te. Now, I was talking to a legend in the Okinawan karate. Long time ago, maybe 25 years ago. His name was Seiyu Oyata. He had changed his name a couple of times in his life. It was an interesting story. He, of course, came up in Okinawa and moved to the States later on, which is where I met him. And in different parts of his life, he would change his name. He always kept Oyata, but he changed from Taika to Seiyu. And I've forgotten what those different ones means, but he did that in order to reflect a different... Come on in, kiddo, I'm shooting a video. Make yourself at home. Make a cup of coffee. That's Hallie just came in behind you saying hi to you. We're getting ready to go out and do some work. Seiyu, Taika, had come from the line of Nakamura, which, if anybody, I know this is getting into the weeds, but some of you might find this interesting, and I'm going to get to the point here real quick. He came through the line of Nakamura, who was he was one of the godfathers of Okinawan martial arts, Okinawan karate. Matter of fact, I was very honored to have received an honorary black belt, Shodan, from that line coming from Nakamura. When you get that, you get a certificate with the stamps of all of those of the sensei who gave it to you, and then his sensei, and then his sensei's sensei, and it goes back as long as they can trace. And I'm very honored to have been given this from someone in Nakamura's line. It wasn't Oyata, um, and with Nakamura's stamp on it, and that's pretty special. I don't know where it is, to be honest. Right now, it's in a box somewhere. I've never been one to put things on the walls. Maybe someday I will. Maybe someday the kids will come across a box and say, "What's this? Oh, look at all this stuff of Dad's." Whatever. Well, anyway, I was talking to Taika, and he says, most people, and I won't, he didn't speak. He spoke fairly good English, but he had a very thick accent, and I won't try to replicate that. He says people have a misunderstanding about the meaning of karate. He says most people think that kara means empty, but kara means many different things, and it depends on the application. He says kara could mean empty, like an empty sky, but actually what it means in this application is vast, meaning vast, like a vast sky, that it can include anything and everything. And that's why the Okinawan martial arts, and I won't go into detail about this. I've made another one, I think it's over on Patreon, I'm not sure, about environmental weapons and the development of different weapons by different civilizations as, in response to oppressive forces, things like that. But that's why the Okinawan martial arts study the environmental Okinawan weapons that were developed when they were invaded by the Japanese. But people stop. People in that, and I think there's even some kind of prayer or something, I don't know, statement used by karateka practitioners, saying, "I come to you with empty hands, no weapons," or anything. Well, that's totally misunderstood. It's a total misunderstanding of what kara means. What it means is everything you can get. Okay, and back then that meant every weapon you could get. I mean, they even developed a way to fight with a boat oar. I never studied that, and so I don't know. All I would know how to do is pick one up and hit somebody with it. But everything in the world that they could make of a weapon, they would, or make into a weapon, they would. You see, that translates today, and where a lot of people lost the understanding. A lot of the karate practitioners lost the understanding was they thought that this should just be empty hands, no weapons, no guns, essentially, right? That fighting with guns simply wasn't honorable. Well, that's silly. That's stupid. It means, as Taika said, it means vast. Everything in the world that you can do, which up till now, that's why in my system, I teach clear up through weapons. I mean firearms, okay, because those are the weapons available to us today. Okay, enough of that now. Now I want to jump back over to total preparedness. What is your idea of total preparedness? Everybody, when they start, they have their favorite kind of thing to do. Some people do food. Some people do weapons. Some people do, buy a place in the country, whatever. And by having known many people in the community over the years, it's not hard to see the soft spots in most people's plan, and they because there is this limit. I think it's difficult. I mean, we live in a world now that everything pretty much is provided for us at the click of a button, and so it's difficult to really go down that thought road and figure out everything that we would have to provide for ourselves if this world weren't working anymore like it works today. But I think that's the most important thing to do. The reason that I wrote the Stone Mott series is to explain that. And, I couldn't do it in a 20-minute video. I couldn't do it actually in one book. That's why the Stone Mott series, click down there if you want to find out about it, is 4 books now and a 5th book coming. Yes, it's coming soon for all of those of you who have asked. Thank you very much for asking. it's an entire redevelopment of sustainable systems. And in order to be able to do that, to be able to be fully self-sustaining is difficult. You know, some would say impossible. It's not impossible. There are people who do it even now. But for the average person, it's very, very difficult. But it's more difficult if you don't have an understanding of the many different elements that you have to bring into play, and the many different skills and resources that you have to develop in order to make that a possibility and in order to be truly sustainable. So like I said, that's why I wrote the Stonemont series, to really cover all this stuff. Because it's not just surviving. You know, everything happens all of a sudden, and we're back to 1850, and now what we have to deal with, we got to eat, we got to defend ourselves, we got to, you know, this and that, we got to have good water and shelter and food. But how do we come back? Yeah. First off, how are we totally sustainable before we start bringing community and civilization back? And you can stop it right there, because maybe, you know, you don't care about developing a new society or a new community or whatever. You want to be self-sustaining. And this is where the example of karate, to where kara not meaning empty, not meaning not having stuff, not meaning being able to do without, but bringing in, accessing all of those possibilities, all of those applications to come together to satisfy your needs and the needs of those that depend on you for survival and future living without an end date, you know, meaning that okay, surviving for a year just means you're going to die in a year. All right. You don't want that. You want this, you know, to be an ongoing, because you're preparing for your kids and your grandkids and generations to come. That's what history is about. It's about the survival and the development of societies and communities of people who put themselves and put their minds on that path. So my question to you would be, and I think I will put this out as a question. First off, think about what really is total preparedness. Probably you don't have it. Now, some of you may, but most of you probably don't right now. Are you really working toward that? And then I would suggest you take a really hard look at your plan, at what you're doing, and see, and try to find the cracks. Try to find, what are the things that I need, you know, not just to keep on breathing, but to live, to have a functioning life, an interactive life with other people as God meant us to have. What are those things that I'm lacking? And, you know, a lot of people, I think that a lot of people kind of shy away from going to that point because they feel that it's beyond them to get to that point. Don't do that. I would suggest, you know, it's like make a wish letter. Really take a good hard look. What do you need? And then think about how you're going toward that. How are you doing? Where are you on that path? What can you do better? How do the things work together? You know, even what's your time frame? Is it going to take you a year, 2 years, 5 years? Hey, if it's going to take you 10 years, there's no reason not to do it. It's just a reason to get started, right? You don't know how much time you have. I don't know how much time we have. Do we have a year? Do we have 10 years? Do we have 100 years? But quality of life and making sure that we're able to sustain ourselves separate from the interdependent systems of the world over which we have little and no control is extremely important. It's the way that we were meant to live, not in the world as it is today, right? So anyway, think about that. Let me know. Talk about, put it down in the comments, because other people are going to learn from your thoughts, and other people may answer your questions. You know, what do you think about this? What is total preparedness? How are you doing on it? Where are you headed? And what advice do you have? And what questions do you have for others? So I'll leave you there. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And preparing well starts with a plan, and then it starts after that. It continues with the doing it. Okay. You all have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.